Hi, today our show is about the pain body. Pains in your back, pains in your neck, shoulders. Today, Dr. Kody Au is going to be joining us, and I am super excited to have him with us. Please welcome Dr. Kody Au. Hello, Kody.
Hey, Diane. Thanks for having me.
So great to have you. Oh my gosh.
Good to be on your show.
Yes. We've been friends for a while now, almost 2 years.
Yeah, almost 2 years now.
Yes.
So it's been great to see, for one, how this show has evolved and how just you've evolved as a speaker and coach.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have been in complete admiration for you and you going through all your schooling and coming out and learning from all different mentors and that on the actual doing this business part. But how did you get involved with chiropractor? Like what made you decide to do that?
It's kind of a long story. So I'm not one of those people who have seen a chiropractor since a child. So I really didn't know what chiropractic was. So originally what happened was I went to school and my whole goal was to become the medical doctor. So it was the dream as a child and just kind of pursued through. So I excelled in school and decided instead of taking a science degree, I decided to do a nursing degree because in case things didn't work out, I would still be in the medical field. So I started there and I actually loved nursing. It was a great passion of mine, just helping people. That was my biggest thing. Help people get back to their lives. It's hard in nursing because of the fact that I think there's so much care that's provided that people really can't get to the point where they recover all the time. So while in that state, I found out that it was kind of depressing at times just because patients just wouldn't go home, like they were stuck in the system. And so at some point I decided that I wanted to pursue more education. And so at that point I didn't choose medicine because of the fact that I found that the people that I was working with just weren't passionate about some of the pieces that they were doing. They were almost stuck. So some of the medical doctors that I ended up working with were divorced. They worked 30-hour shifts, and it wasn't a passionate thing. We found sometimes doctors really just wanted to get their work done, get out. The care aspect wasn't there, and I didn't want to become one of those people who lost my passion for helping people. So I was searching elsewhere, and the universe has it that when you start asking for it, it brings it to you. And so mine brought it, I thought was like a strike of lightning. So one day I went to work and we had an overflow of patients. And so I took on an extra patient, which was a hallway patient. And so the patient fell. And this patient wasn't suitable for the hallway. He fell 3 times that shift. The person was probably about 6'3", 240 pounds, and I caught him 3 times that shift. Yeah, not the best idea, but didn't want him to injure himself, get hurt, but instead I injured myself. Oh. So I was 21 at the time and I had a back injury and I could barely move, like barely walk, everything like that. So I hurt my low back. And so a colleague of mine said, you have to get this fixed. You're 21. There's no way that this is kind of the end of your career. And so I saw a chiropractor for the first time. And so that's kind of how I got kind of started there. I didn't understand anything about chiropractic, but when he told me, I was just like young, adventurous, and I said, fix me. And so I was one of the miracles. 4 or 5 visits later, I'm back at work and I'm doing my thing. So then that really intrigued me, gave me kind of a new light. I saw how it was a viable way of treating patients, getting them better, and incorporating all the stuff I loved about nursing into a practice. And that's why I chose it.
Oh, wow. It's so great to have firsthand experience. Mm-hmm. And then that's that calling.
Yeah,
sometimes
exactly.
our wound ends up being our gift.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought it was like this big, terrible thing that happened to me, but it was a blessing in disguise, really, for me.
Yes. So then, right then, you just said, that's it. I'm going out. I'm getting the education I require in order to become this. Where did you go to school?
So my nursing school was in Alberta. So I did my bachelor's of science in nursing in the U of A, where I spent 3.5 years, and I finished that program, and then I came back to finish my preceptorship in Burnaby Hospital. That's where I went.
Oh, in Burnaby Hospital. Oh,
so
that's
then,
where I had both my kids.
Yeah. So it's a nice little hospital. I think it's getting overflowed now just because of the increasing populations. But so I guess one of the parts of the question was going there. So I applied, looking to apply into a Canadian school. However, the process would have taken me an extra 2 years just to get in. So it was, I'd missed the deadline by the time I was already there, because by the time I discovered it and was researching, I was already passed. So I'd have to wait a whole 2 years just to enroll. And so I was looking around, and so I found actually schools in the States. And so I found one in Portland. At first I was skeptical because I didn't know much about the programs. And then so I started asking around, looking at different resources, and it showed that it was one of the best schools in the States. So I decided to apply, and I got accepted after some interviews and a very lengthy application process. And so I got accepted, and so I started school so I applied in, I think, March, and I got in for October class.
And
So,
of what year?
2015.
2015?
No, sorry. That was when I graduated. 2012.
2012.
Yeah.
So then you came back here and you started a practice. Well, right on from that.
Yeah, it was an interesting case. So after going to school, during school, I had a colleague, a nursing colleague of mine that she heard that I went to chiro school, and I was working casual as a nurse when I came back from breaks, and she said, "You have to meet my chiropractor." And so she introduced me to my now mentor. So I basically shadowed my mentor every time I came back from school, and so we had a pretty good connection, and I liked how genuine, how good of a person he was. He really wanted to assist and help me and help me grow, and so took me in every time. We connected, and almost by the time I was done, he accepted me for a preceptorship. So I graduated slightly early from the chiropractic program, got all my hours done, and he took me on as a student to work in his clinic. And so during that time, originally I thought, oh, I'm just going to work under him, gain some experience, do everything like that, possibly maybe even buy his practice in the future, and that's kind of where it started. However, plans changed kind of halfway through this preceptorship, and so being at his age and as well as what he wanted, I think he basically just pulled me aside one day and said, plans changed. He said, instead of me hiring you on as an associate, why don't I give you an opportunity to start your own practice? Because he said as a preceptor, as a associate, he's like, I'm sure you're going to be fine as a chiropractor. I watched you through all these years. You're going to be fine with treatment and all this stuff. He said it's the business side that you're going to have struggles with because you haven't had any training there. So he said, why don't I just throw you in the deep end, really, and get you started that way? And so you have mentorship here, and we can help you out. And so I graduated in October, and I started my practice in November of 2015. Yeah, it was scary, but it happened.
So I talk about that a lot, the fear. So that inkling in your stomach, but you still persevered and went and did that.
Yeah.
So were there times where you felt like you wanted to give up at any time?
There's always, I think fear is always present, because it's one of those stories that just runs in the back of your mind. There's always the what if. What if this happens? What if that happens? And I think being a business owner or being a professional in general, you always have upswings and downswings. It's just like this constant fluctuating piece. Some days you feel great. Some days you're like, I can do anything. I feel like I'm on top of the world. And then other days you're at the bottom. And so I think it was definitely a challenging part to work through business, just because when you first start anything, it's a slow start. There's slow build up, slow everything like that. There's an excitement to it because you're figuring out all these pieces, but at a certain point in time, you're kind of like, why isn't it growing? Why isn't it growing? So you start asking yourself. But I think a lot of it is just being present, doing things each day to better the next day. So it's like things just start coming, and you adapt and you change and all these things. And I don't think there is ever going to be a day without fear. Because fear is just kind of, I find it's the back of your mind, almost keeping you in check, just scaring you. But it's more training yourself to be like, I hear you, I hear that you're scared, but logically we figured all these things out and kind of pushed through that.
Yeah, it's almost, if we're not in that uncomfortable discomfort, fear, we're usually not growing.
Yeah, that's completely true. So
Yeah.
you're not growing, you're not having that piece that is pushing you forward.
Right.
And I think if you're just staying comfortable, comfort is one thing, but I think if you stay comfortable too long, it's almost stagnation. So you don't have the opportunities. You kind of shut off the opportunities for yourself to grow as a person, but also as a business, as a professional, as everything.
Right. So it's my understanding that now you do have your own practice.
Yeah. So
That's very recent.
Yes. So I worked out of that office for about a year and a half, and then opportunities came by. I'd switched the way my practice had ran, and it actually boosted how my business was developing, and so I needed to change some things. So I ended up opting to, instead of purchasing an existing practice, I decided to start my own and kind of start a whole new way of treating and a whole new concept in terms of treatments and combining care. And so yeah, 8 months ago I started on my own and decided to go that route instead.
And what's the most common complaint or type of ailment people come to get fixed by you? Yes.
It's a whole combination. I think everyone has certain things that develop in our bodies. So for example, like desk workers, right? So they sit at the desk all day, and so a lot of those common conditions that I see is like the upper back, the neck tightness that just doesn't go away. Sometimes, like, I work with a lot of athletes because of both my master's that I took at the school concurrently with my doctorate, and so I work with a lot of shoulders and knees. So I work with athletic populations, dodgeball players, volleyball players, ultimate frisbee players, like all those things. So a lot of other joints can work. And then there's a lot of car accidents as well. So it really depends on who is coming in for some of those cases. But probably in a day, I would say it's a mixture, but probably low back might be one of the bigger pieces that I see.
I could see that from sitting.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's told me before it's like a sitting disease.
Well, the recent studies actually said that smoking, and they're comparing smoking versus sitting, and they're saying that in the modern society, sitting is really now the new smoking, because the levels have dropped there, and so sitting is creating more health concerns than smoking is now. So it's kind of that new age movement of what's going on. So as humans, we're not really developed to do what we do now. I think technology has moved way faster than anything that our bodies can handle. And so instead of, say, 60, 70 years ago where everything was movement, your more laborious job, now everything is more tech. You're sitting, you're doing all these things, and more intellectual based rather than physical based in terms of those, and that's really taken a toll on the populations now.
Speaking of, before we were talking about fears, what do you say to people, because I've heard sometimes that people fear chiropractors, they think that they're gonna make them worse. What do you say to that?
I think that with manual therapy in general, so chiropractic physiotherapy, both of them can do what people know as adjustment or manipulation to certain areas of the body, or in other words, people think it's the cracking sounds. So both professions can actually do it. However, I think a lot of people are scared of it because of, for one, watching movies. So you see the Rambo and injuring the neck and all these things. In terms of practice, we are really trained to, especially like with the history portion, I think all medical professionals should be taking a really detailed history. And so in my practice, for example, I take an hour long initial, and more than half an hour of that is just asking questions about conditions, about risk factors, about family, about all these things, so that I can take a full picture and figure out, is there any risk in terms of working with your joints and working with your manipulating anything in your body, right? For example, some of the things that we would look at is, someone, do they have high blood pressure that's uncontrolled? Do they have heart disease? Have they had strokes in the past? Do they have family members that have these conditions? Do they have like bleeding disorders or clotting disorders? Those are all contraindications, and we really shouldn't be working so aggressively on those cases. So I think more so when you have the right questions asked, it eliminates your risks for any of those issues. So I think it's more the due diligence of that. In terms of treatment wise, for example, the neck adjustment is really the one that people are most scared of. Mm-hmm. I think that one, the science behind it is really, it takes 400 pounds of force to break someone's neck. Okay? There's really no way that any of us can do that with our hands, with just a little bit of motion doesn't create that amount of force. Usually if anyone was to have issues, like say the severe one in 3 million chance that someone has what they call like a stroke or something in that event, usually there's a predisposed condition already that should have been detected in the history.
So even if it is detected in advance, it's a pre-existing condition, would you still you'd still be able to work on them, or yes, would you have to get also doctors or a family physician's referral or recommendation or allowance or anything like that?
So with anything that we're really concerned about, I will refer them out and I'll say, you have to go see somebody else and get this imaged or figured out before I'll work on some of those things, if it's really that dire, right? But if it's, or we would even send them to the ER if it was that dire. If, for example, a case that would be, never seen one in my practice, however, like we hear about these in school, about things. So say someone comes in with stroke symptoms already. Mm-hmm. So sometimes some people will get, like, theoretically, we can get people who come in because strokes can cause heavy headaches, like really severe headaches, like 9 out of 10 pain, 10 out of 10 pain, right? And so if we start seeing some of those that have never happened, or if there's even like facial droopiness or signs of stroke, for one, we shouldn't be working on it. For two, that's a medical emergency. So those are the things that we have to detect so that we're doing that. In terms of just a regular person who has risk factors, of course, as long as those high risk things are cleared out, I don't need to manipulate in order to cause somebody to have benefit. So for example, in the neck, I don't have to do a high movement to it. Muscle work, even little bits of movement to the neck can do wonders for somebody. I've had clients, for example, I had one client, she came in extremely scared of chiropractic. She said, don't manipulate my neck, I don't want any of that stuff. But she had numbness down her arm, so she had some compressions in her nerves. And so after doing detailed history, after doing all these things, it was fine. I didn't deem it as anything like high risk, but based on her own preference, she didn't want any of that. So as a result, I did muscle work. I showed her some exercises just to relieve some tension, as well as mobilizing and moving her neck a little bit without doing any high motions. And actually, she went on a cruise, like a week after, because she decided to, I don't know why, but she decided to come like a week before she was going to go away. And so as a result, she just went with the exercise and one treatment. She came back significantly decreased amounts of pain down her arm and everything like that. And we just finished up with a couple more sessions after she got back. So.
Well, looks like we're running out of time, but I have one more question. I know that you have a book out right now. Would you like to tell our listeners what that book is and where they can also reach you?
For sure. So my book actually came out today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
congratulations.
So it's been a pretty hectic, crazy day. So my book is an anthology of different stories, and so stories like kind of like how I got into chiropractic, and even my struggles through fears and everything like that through business and all that. It's a #1 Amazon bestseller actually. So we just hit 3 #1 lists for it. So it's midlife, mysticism, and spiritual, and so we hit that, and so it's been a crazy day just figuring out all these pieces and seeing where it goes. But you can find it on Amazon. It's actually sold there, Amazon.com, and it is Your Shift Matters: Surviving to Thriving. Okay, so volume 2. So it'll be in there, and it just came out today. So definitely grab a copy and read that. How you can find me is you can go to www.baselinewellness.ca, and you'll find a lot of the information about my clinic, as well as all the people who work with me, so that I can get people back to their health. And if you need to contact us through email, it's info@baselinewellness.ca.
Nice. Thank you so much, Dr. Kody. I'm so excited that we finally had this interview, and for coming all the way out to White Rock.
No problem.
It's been wonderful.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm glad I could be on the show and just have the opportunity to share my story, as well as just spend time and enlighten the viewers.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.